Happy morning, students. In today's class, we are going to start an interesting chapter, permutations and combinations, which plays a vital role in our everyday life. Very interesting topic. What is meant by this permutations and combinations? Which means the various ways in which objects from a set may be selected, generally without replacement. What are all the ways are there to select an object from a set? That we will do, right? For example, simple example, what you can take, your mother will give you a few options and she will ask for the menu for the breakfast or lunch. Again, in what are all the combinations it can be done, right? And the recipe, new recipe which she is going to try, and she will be having a set of ingredients. So in what way, in how many ways a new dish can be prepared using the ingredients, in what way the ingredients can be selected. If you have different pairs of dresses, that's what we are going to discuss now. If you have 2 pants and 3 shirts, in what are all the combinations you can wear it. So everyday life we are coming across these permutations and combinations. We used to select what are all the possibilities are there, right? In what are all combinations you can choose. So every time we cannot list out all the options and we can find out, right? So again, we are interested. Mathematicians are great. They have done a wonderful job. So they have done a beautiful research on it, and they have found out simple ways. Instead of listing out all those things, how can you arrive at a solution? That's what we are going to learn in this chapter. So what is the difference between permutation and combination? When the order of the selection is a factor, then it comes under permutation. When the order is not a factor, then it is a combination, right? When you are choosing the object from a set, in which order are you going to choose? If it plays a important role there, then it comes under permutation. If the order doesn't matter, in whichever order you can choose, then it will come under combination, right? So before we get into permutation and combination, let us learn what is the fundamental principle of counting. We should know how we can count, how we can get this combinations, right? So that's what we are going to learn with an example. Fundamental principle of counting, or it is called as multiplication principle. What is it? Again, I have quoted one example. If you have 3 pants and 2 shirts, how many possibilities are there to dress up? See, you have 3 pants, pant 1, pant 2 and pant 3. I have represented by P1, P2, P3. And with every pant, you can wear 2 shirts, right? The first shirt and the second shirt. And with pant 2, you can wear either shirt 1 or either shirt 2. Similarly, with pant 3, you can wear shirt 1 or shirt 2. So P1 S1, pant 1 shirt 1 is your first combination, pant 1 shirt 2 is your second combination, likewise pant 2 shirt 1. So if you list out, we are getting 6 possibilities. So every time we cannot list out all these things, right? So how can this be easily arrived? So by M cross N. What it is? M cross N. If an event occurs for M different ways, then following which another event occurs for N different ways, then the total number of events will be M cross N. Okay. If particular event occurs in M ways, following by it, if another event occurs for N ways, then the total number of events will be M cross N. M multiplied by N. Okay. This is called as fundamental principle of counting or multiplication principle. If you take the same example, now the first event occurs for 3 times, 3 pants we are having. Immediately followed by we should choose the shirts. Shirts occurs for 2 events, right? Number of events is 2. Occurs in 2 different ways. First event occurs in 3 different ways and the second event occurs in 2 different ways. So the total number of events will be 2 into 3 or 3 into 2. What is 3 into 2? 3 into 2. What is 3 into 2? Which is 6, and hence we ended up with 6 possibilities. Hope you understood. The first event occurs in how many ways multiplied by the second event occurs in how many ways will give you the total number of ways. You don't want to list out every time. So m n, then it is m into n, right? M multiplied by n. Now this can be generalized for any finite number of events. It is not necessary. This is true not only for 2 events. If suppose after this shirt you want to choose a tie to wear it, and the possibilities and the event of choosing a tie occurs in 5 different ways, say 5 different ways, 5 colors of ties if you have, then your number of possibilities will be 3 into 2 into 5. So 30 possibilities are there. And if you have, after wearing a tie, you need to wear a pair of shoes, and if you have 3 pairs of shoes, and again, therefore it occurs in 3 different ways. So 3 into 2 into 5 into 3 will give you the number of possibilities for taking this pant, shirt, tie and shoe combination. Yes, hope you understood. This is called as fundamental principle of counting or multiplication principle. So based on this multiplication principle, let us solve our first exercise. Now let us see how can we solve our first question. First question is, how many 3-digit numbers can be formed from the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Assuming that repetition is allowed and repetition of the digits is not allowed, right? So first let us see, when the repetition is allowed, how many ways are there. You can draw like this so that it will give you a better clarity. We need to form a 3-digit number. So ones place, tens place, hundreds place. So we have 3 vacant places, but we have 5 chances to fill each place, right? So always when we will start with the units place, we will fix up units place. So there are 5 options, right? So there are 5 ways to fill in my units place. And when I come back to the tens place, when the repetition is allowed, so it doesn't matter if I fill 5 in ones place, I can again fill 5 in tens place. That is called repetition, right? When the repetition is allowed, there are again 5 more ways to fill my tens place. So tens place, there are 5 ways. And what about hundreds place? Hundreds place, again there are 5 more ways. Alright, therefore total number of ways is 5 into 5 into 5, which is 125 ways are there, or else 125 3-digit numbers can be formed by using the digits 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in spite of their repetition. When the repetition is not allowed, what will happen? So units place, I have 5 chances, 5 ways to fill in my units place. And once a number is being fixed in the units place, that number should not be repeated for your tens place. So one chance out of these 5 digits is being reduced. Yes, now in your hand you have only 4 numbers because one number is being locked in your units place. So there are only 4 ways for your tens place. Once the ones place and tens place is being locked, then how many ways are there for your hundreds place? 2 numbers is being locked here out of these 5. So you have only 3 options, 3 ways to fill in your hundreds place. So there are only 3 ways for your hundreds place. So units place 5, tens place 4 and hundreds place 3. Therefore total number of ways is 5 into 4 into 3, which gives you 60. Therefore 60 3-digit numbers can be formed using the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 without repeating the digits. Yes, hope you understood. This is very easy concept, right? This we have done based on multiplication principles. Let us see how can we solve our second question. Now our second question says, they have given you the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Repetition is allowed. They asked you to find how many 3-digit even numbers, can be formed. So what is the constraint for a number to become an even number? The last digit, that is the units digit, should have an even number. Then only it will become an even number, right? The last ones place number should be an even number. So if that is the case, what are all the possibilities you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of this, ones place can have, what are all the possibilities? Ones place can be filled with 2, 4, 6. Only these 3 digits can be filled in the ones place. because it is given it should be a even number, right? So for the units place, how many ways are there? Only 3 ways are there, right? Then for the tens place, how many ways are there? And it is clearly given repetition is allowed. So for the tens place, you can fill any one of these digits and in spite of the repetition. Even if you have locked the 3 digit in your ones place, you can use the same 3 digit in the tens place as well, because repetition is allowed. Therefore tens place have how many ways? 6 ways. And what about hundreds place? Hundreds place also have 6 ways, right? Therefore hundreds place also have 6 ways. Therefore total number of ways is 3 into 6 into 6, which is 108. 3 digit even numbers can be formed using the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 when the repetition is allowed. Yes, hope you understood. A slight thinking only here is needed, or otherwise the problems can be easily solved. Yes. The next question is, see, they have given you 10 letters, English letters. They asked you to frame a 4-letter code word and the repetition is not allowed. So how will you frame? There are 4 vacant places, 10 letters are there. So there will be 10 ways for the first one. Repetition is not allowed. So the second letter can have 9 chances, and the third will have 8, and the fourth will have 7. So if you multiply all these, that many 4-letter code words can be framed without repeating the digits. Yes, I have given you clue, you have to solve this. And what about the fourth question? The digits 0 to 9. They asked you to form a 5-digit telephone number, and they have given you a constraint that every telephone number should start with 6, 7 only. They have fixed first 2 digit. And repetition is not allowed. The digits should not repeat. So we should bother only about these 3. First 2, even though they have given you it's a 5-digit number, but the first 2 digits they have locked it. So 6, 7 will be fixed. So we should bother about only these 3-digit numbers. And even for these 3 digit, even though they have given you 10 digits, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 9. So how many digits are there? 10 digits are there, 0 to 9. Even then they have given you 10 digits, first 2 digits is being locked with 6 and 7, and the repetition is not allowed. So 6 and 7 cannot take place in any of these 3. So out of 10, 2 we should remove. So totally 8 digits are there. So this has 8 ways, and this has 7 ways, and this has 6 ways, right? This 6 and 7 are not the chances. 6 and 7 are the digits being fixed here, right? 6 and 7 are the digits being fixed here. Now this place can have 8 ways to fill in, and this place can have 7 ways to fill in, and this place can have 6 ways to fill in. So if you multiply 8 into 7 into 6 will give you the number of ways a 5-digit number can be framed having 6 and 7 as the starting number. Yes, hope you understood. So it's easy problem only. You can do the remaining problems in the exercise by your own, and if you have doubts you can ask me. Let us move on to the next topic now. So far we have learnt what is fundamental principle of multiplication or multiplication principle we have learnt. So based on this we are going to frame the formula for permutations. Permutation we will denote it by NPR. This N should be written small at the top, P and R in the suffix. N is like a power, but you should not write it in the power. NPR, right? So what does it mean NPR? Out of n different objects taken R at a time. Out of n different objects taken R at a time. For example, if you take this example, how many objects are there? Here 10 objects, right? 10 digits. Out of 10 digits, how many things we have taken at a time? Only 3. So this will be denoted by 10p3. And here out of 10 letters we have taken 4 at a time. So this is 10p4. Yes, so that's what NPR. So number of permutations of n different objects taken R at a time and the objects do not repeat, is first constraint, first formula we are learning for objects do not repeat. Objects do not repeat. How we can obtain? The same method only. How we obtained here? We started with n possibilities, and then the next one will reduce, one possibility will reduce, and for the next one the other possibility will reduce. Likewise it goes on, right? So for the first term there are n possibilities. If we have n different objects, for the first term we have n possibilities, multiplied by, for the second one, n minus 1 possibilities, for the third one n minus 2 possibilities. Likewise it goes on till n minus r plus 1. Why this is n minus r plus 1? If you see this, there we have taken 4 letters at a time, right, and there were 10. So what is the possibility of the last one? 10 minus 4 plus 1, because 10 minus 4 is 6, 6 plus 1, 7 possibilities are there, right? The same way here, if you take, there are 3 numbers taken at a time, and your possibilities, we have started with 8 possibilities. Even though they have given you 10 digits, there are only 8, because first 2 digits have been fixed over here. So out of 10, 8 only we have used. Out of 8, and we have chosen 3 digits, right? So 8 minus r, 8 minus 3, 8 minus 3 is 5, 5 plus 1, so 6, right? So the ending number is going to be n minus r plus 1. So this is what we will define it as NPR. Okay, so what is NPR? N into, what is the formula for NPR? N into n minus 1 into n minus 2 into etc. N minus r plus 1, where 0 less than r less than or equal to n. R should not be equal to 0. Right? This is a formula for number of permutations of n different objects taken r at a time. N different objects taken r at a time where do not repeat. Repetition is not allowed. NPR formula is n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 etc. n minus r plus 1. Remember. But next, what are we going to learn is factorial notation. There is a need for this notation. Why? Because the formula of NPR, if you see, it seems to be so tedious, it's so lengthy. Every time you cannot write like this, right? So our mathematicians know our students are so lazy, so they have found another notation called factorial notation, which can make our writing part easier. So our notation part, NPR, we will denote it using factorial, so that the NPR formula will become smaller, right? So for that we should know what is meant by factorial. Factorial notation, we will denote it by simple exclamatory mark. You know what is exclamatory mark, right? So with that we will denote. What is the definition of it? 1 factorial means it's simply 1. What is 2 factorial? 1 into 2. What is 3 factorial? 1 into 2 into 3. And hence what is n factorial? 1 into 2 into 3 into etc. up to n. So whichever number factorial is given, you have to multiply right from 1 till that number. Right from 1 till that number you have to multiply. That will give you the factorial. Right? And n factorial can also be written as n into n minus 1 factorial. How? N minus 1 factorial means what we will be doing? We will be multiplying all the numbers right from 1 till n minus 1, right? So with that, if we multiply n, we will get n factorial. Similarly, it can also be written as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 factorial, because for n minus 2 factorial, we are going to multiply the numbers from 1 to n minus 2. With that, if you multiply n and n minus 1, you will get n factorial. Yes, and what is 0 factorial? 0 factorial, you should not tell 0, because our mathematicians have defined 0 factorial as 1. What is 0 factorial? 1. Remember, like anything power 0 is 1. The same way 0 factorial is defined as 1. Don't forget. So using this factorial notation, we will be reframing our permutation. Not reframing, we will be redenoting it. Instead of writing it as a lengthier way, we will express it using notation, because what are we doing here? We are just multiplying the numbers starting from n till n minus r plus 1, right? Reducing one term, which is nothing but the factorial only. So we will be redenoting the permutation formula using this factorial notation. So before we do that, there are few problems based on this factorial. So let us solve it, then we will move on to that, right? Now see, first question is evaluate 8 factorial. 8 factorial means what? 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into 6 into 7 into 8. No other go, you have to multiply all these numbers, you will get your answer. The next question is 4 factorial minus 3 factorial. This can be done in many ways. 4 factorial, first find what is 4 factorial. 4 factorial is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. What is 3 factorial? 1 into 2 into 3. Multiply, find the answer and then subtract. But I have done it in the other way. This way also you can do, which makes your calculations easier. 4 factorial can be written as 4 into 3 factorial, right? 3 factorial is 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 will give you 4 factorial. So why I have written in terms of 3 factorial? Already we have 3 factorial here. So 4 minus 4 into 3 factorial minus 3 factorial. So 3 factorial I have taken it common. So 4 minus 1, which is 3. So 3 into 3 factorial. So 3 into, what is 3 factorial? 1 into 2 into 3. So 2 3s are 6. So 6 3s are 18. In this way also you can solve. So it all depends on how are you solving your problem and how are you thinking, right? So that's why I told you, remember this. N factorial can be written as n into n minus 1 factorial. Again, this can be written as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 factorial, which can be used while solving our problems. Yes. Remaining problems in the exercise are also easy. First question is 3 factorial plus 4 factorial is equal to 7 factorial. Will it be equal to 7 factorial? You have to check, right? 3 factorial will be 1 into 2 into 3 and 4 factorial will be 1 into 2 into 3 into 4. And if you add these two numbers, will it be equal to 7 factorial? That's what you need to check. What is 7 factorial? 1 into 2 into 3 into 4 into 5 into till 7 you have to multiply. Okay. So if you check, add and check, you will get your answer. So that is easy problem. It won't be equal actually. It won't be equal. So this problem is given for your better understanding. 3 factorial plus 4 factorial, if you have under addition, you should not simply add and put factorial. That won't be equal. Okay. Then next question, compute 8 factorial divided by 6 factorial into 2 factorial. This can also be solved easily. Numerator you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 till 8 multiplied by divided by 6 factorial. Now you can write 1 to 6 into 2 factorial. In that way also you can write and then cancel out all the common terms and then you can reduce it. Or else 8 factorial can be written in terms of 6 factorial. How? 8 into 7 into 6 factorial you can write. So that 6 factorial directly it will get cancelled. Then 2 factorial is 1 into 2. In that way also you can make your calculations easier. Try to adopt this method so that your calculations will become easier and you can save your time while solving problems. The same way, a fourth question, some unknown variable is given. Let me show you how can you solve that. And the fifth question, they asked you to evaluate n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, where n and r values are given. You have to substitute and get your answer. So let me show you how can we solve 4 and 5th problem now. Now see our 4th problem. If 1 by 6 factorial plus 1 by 7 factorial is equal to x by 8 factorial. So 7 factorial we can write it as 6 factorial into 7. Right. So we have to take LCM because we have plus in between. LCM is going to be 6 factorial into 7 or else 7 factorial, right? We don't have 7 here, so we need to 7 with the numerator, multiply 7 with the numerator. So 7 plus 1, which is equal to x by 8 factorial. So 7 plus 1 is 8 by 7 into 6 factorial, which is equal to x by 8 factorial, right? Now we need x, so bring this 8 factorial to other side. So 8 into 8 factorial divided by 7 into 6 factorial. Again, this 8 factorial, we can write it as 8 into 7 into 6 factorial. So that 6 factorial will get cancelled. 7 also got cancelled. So the value of x is 64. Right. So which makes your calculations easier if you write n factorial as n into n minus 1 factorial. That's what we have written. 7 factorial is 7 into 6 factorial. 8 factorial as 8 into 7 into 6 factorial. N factorial can be written as n into n minus 1 into n minus 2 factorial. Right. So you have to remember. And the next question, evaluate n factorial divided by n minus r factorial, where n value is 6, r value is 2. So it's mere substitution. Remember, in the denominator it is n minus r factorial. It is not n factorial minus r factorial. Both will not be same. So first you have to subtract and then only you have to find the factorial. So 6 minus 2 is 4 factorial. 6 factorial we can write it as 6 into 5 into 4 factorial divided by 4 factorial. So these two will get cancelled. 5 6 are 30. Yes. Hope you understood. This is very easy only. With this, let us wind up today's class. Do these problems as homework and post it in the group. I am expecting more efforts from you people. Be energetic, be active, spend some more time for math. Right? Complete it on time and post it in the group. And if you have doubts, contact me. Thank you, students.